Today's film states that after the first atomic bomb, Einstein said, "If I had known where this would lead, I'd have been a watchmaker." While that quote is likely apocryphal, the question remains, if you could fix one of humanity's past scientific mistakes, would you? And more importantly, should you? Welcome back to Geek Channel 8. My name's Eric, and today, Frankenstein Unbound, the 1990 unholy monstrosity that's stitched out of time travel, moral reckoning, and creature feature. Joining me today, I want to welcome back Jasone Staley, creator of the Super Satan Show, among other things. Welcome back, Jason.
Hi, Eric. It's good to see you, man.
Cool. It's good to have you back. What has been going on with you since last time? It's been like a year almost, right?
Yeah, about a year. Yeah, I'm still doing a weird puppet show. This is really ramped up over the last couple years. If you're in the Ohio Valley and you Google adult entertainment near me, the Super Satan Show comes up number 10, and because Google thinks I'm a porn store.
How did that happen now?
Well, we set up, we were like, hey, my producer and my sound guy, we all got together and we were like, well, let's set up a Google page. And I was like, okay, cool. So I did, right? I set it up but the thing about it is I was like, well, we're adult entertainment, which we are, we say a lot of crazy things on there, and, pretending to be the devil gives you free reign to say a lot of things,
Right.
So I marked adult entertainment on the thing, and it was like it gave you two choices. You could either be a club or a store. And I was like, well, that's pretty limited. Okay. You can't be a TV show.
Right.
So I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm selling rock and roll for free, so I guess I'm a store. So, and because of that, like all my bunch of friends left me a bunch of crazy reviews, like crazy reviews, and like all 5 stars. So as a business person, if you're ever wondering if the reviews actually drive that stuff, it totally does.
Okay.
Because I get all kinds of crazy phone calls asking for all manner of crazy things.
I think the mistake we made with our show is that we listed ourselves as a private group on Facebook.
Oh.
And so it doesn't come up in anybody else's feed. Like you have to be invited to the group.
Right.
So nobody finds it randomly, right?
Well, see, you got to put yourself out there, Eric. Come on.
So I created a duplicate group that's public, but like so far, like I haven't migrated people over. I don't even know how to do that. So
Right.
All right. So let's jump into the movie today.
Let's.
If you're familiar with the show, we always do a background of the year, sort of let people know what was going on at the time the movie came out.
Okay, cool. 1990. I was a junior in high school.
Okay. January 22nd of 1990, Robert Tappan Morris was convicted of releasing the Morris worm. He was found guilty and sentenced to 3 years probation, 400 hours of community service, and a fine. I think this was one of the first big like hacking
Right. Yeah. I kind of remember that.
February 14th, the pale blue dot photograph of Earth was sent back from Voyager 1. It's a famous photograph.
Mm-hmm.
March 1st, also speaking of hacking, Steve Jackson Games was raided by the U.S. Secret Service.
For the Illuminati card game. I have a couple sets of those, yeah.
Do you?
Yeah. I got a couple of them, yeah.
Yeah, that actually led to, I think, the formation of, maybe it was like the Electronic Frontier Foundation or something, one of those, because like they totally got raided over a game.
Right, which is hilarious.
Let's see, April 24th, the STS-31 Hubble Space Telescope was launched from the Space Shuttle Discovery.
Nice.
Here's one. This is 1990, mind you. 1990.
Mm-hmm.
May 17th, the World Health Organization removed homosexuality from its list of diseases.
Well, good for them.
That seems kind of late, Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I could see in the maybe even before the time. Like that seems like outrageous even for the time that our movie is set in, like the early 1800s. Like, of
Hmm.
course, homosexuality is a disease, you know?
Oh, it's it's a morality disease. Yeah, well, I mean, you've met mankind, right? You've seen what
Yeah,
they do. I
yeah.
mean, if anything, good for them. It's a step forward.
September 10th, the first Pizza Hut opened in the Soviet Union.
I think I do remember that.
And then October 3rd, East and West Germany reunify into a single Germany.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, that was yeah. Okay, yeah, that was pretty big.
November 2nd, Frankenstein Unbound was released.
I
Do you
see.
remember that?
I um I kind of want to think that I saw it in the theater, but it was a lot literally, that was a long time ago.
I don't know if I saw it. I think it played at that Dollar Cinema in Norwood. I
Right.
can think that's where it was, you know?
That's probably where I saw it, most likely.
Yeah.
Or Forest Fair Mall had a cheap movie theater too,
It
and
definitely didn't go to the big movie. It like went straight to the cheap movies.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
The producer's name was Tom Mount, and he originally brought the project to Roger Corman as a way to like get him back to directing. Like
Hmm.
gave him like $1 million. Roger Corman hadn't directed something since like the early 1970s.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so Corman like talked to Wes Craven and Floyd Muttrux, and finally, with their input, settled on this Brian Aldiss novel, and hired a guy named FX Feeney to write the script with input from him.
Hmm.
There's an interesting note when he went to cast the film. They cast Michael Hutchence of INXS as Shelley.
Really? I would have thought Lord Byron would have been more his jam.
I would have thought so too. I would have thought
Yeah.
that he would have made, but the guy that played Lord Byron was also very Byron. Like the two are
Yeah.
very similar. But yeah,
Right.
it was met with mixed reactions. Opening weekend, okay, it grossed $335,000. That's $1,000.
Yikes.
Brian Aldiss, the guy that wrote the novel, said he went to see it in Leicester Square, and there were only 6 other people in the theater with him. That's kind of the background to the production of the film.
Here's a choice of food and drink to satisfy anyone and everyone. You'll find something to please you to add to your evening's enjoyment.
Do you have any suggestions of what a good snack pairing for this film might be?
Well, personally, when I go to the movies, I'm a nachos and cheese guy.
That is what I was going to recommend as well. So
Yeah, yeah, nachos.
we started this with watching at home because during the pandemic, so we were all eating in front of the TV. So I always try to come up with a snack people can make at home. And so what I figured is one of those cans of Campbell's Fiesta nacho cheese,
Ah,
the cheese sauce, right?
yeah, right.
And then unsalted nachos. And the reason is that cheese sauce has like 30% of the sodium you're supposed
Oh,
to get
nice.
in a day, you know?
Nice. Okay. All
And
right.
then maybe have a jar. This is optional of the jalapeno slices that you can put on the top,
Oh, yeah, sure,
Yeah.
sure, 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 sure.
Because,
Yeah.
it's unhealthy and cheesy, just like this film.
That and the crunch really, drowns out the terrible dialogue.
30 years ago, Roger Corman began to explore the dark side of the American psyche. With movies like The Undead, The Pit and the Pendulum, and the original Little Shop of Horrors. Now, he feels the world is ready for the greatest horror story ever told, as it's never been told before. Roger Corman's Frankenstein Unbound, starring John Hurt, Raul Julia, and Bridget Fonda, directed by Roger Corman.
So there's this guy named Dr. Buchanan.
Hmm.
He's developing a prototype energy beam weapon intended to end all wars and leave no environmental damage, right?
Right.
And immediately it starts producing unpredictable side effects like erratic global weather and space-time rifts that make
Yeah.
people vanish.
Yeah. That's bad. That's bad.
He's riding around in a self-driving car,
Right. Right. An electric car,
an
by the
electric
way.
car that you
Yeah.
could like manually override. So it's very
Mhm.
much like the electric cars we have now, although
Yeah.
it actually
Yeah.
looks cooler.
It was like 2030 something, right? The year
Yeah, it was the
that
2030s. Yeah. So
yeah,
not that
okay.
far from when
Not that
from
far.
now. Like,
And honestly, that's kind of on the mark, far as technology wise, because as we're seeing electric cars now that sell on the cutting edge of self-driving cars,
yeah.
you know. So, I mean, that's not too far off.
And I remember while he's riding in the car, like there's this, or it was either on the car or on TV at some point. There's like they're talking about you know, they're memorializing the last bit of rainforest or whatever
Yeah,
being
yeah,
cut down. Like,
Yeah. In honor to save this rainforest, we've got to cut it down.
yeah. So that was like 35 years ago or whatever. Like, and yet like nothing has changed. If anything, we're cutting
No.
down the rainforest faster than we were then.
Yeah. Even more efficiently now. We got robots to do that shit for us now.
There's some scene where his kids are on the lawn or something, and like a soldier from the past comes through.
Yeah, like Kublai Khan shows up,
Yeah.
out of a rift and like threatens him.
So I've seen a few of these time travel movies now, and like this happens in a bunch of them, like some soldier from the past, and I'm like, that guy always attacks. Like, why? I guess as soon as you go through a time rift, you want to attack the first person you see or something.
Well, yeah, duh. That's like it turns you into a murderer, Like I'm sure that dude on the other side was a very reasonable person until time rift, and now he's a murderer.
It ruins your day,
Yeah, and by just a sidebar, I love a good time travel movie. By the way, just sidebar.
Then he ends up going through one of these rifts himself.
Mm-hmm.
Drives through it back in time, and I think his car's kind of like Kid. It talks to him.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's got an AI to it. Yeah, I mean, also still kind of on point technology wise.
Yeah, it's like they never mention the internet, but it does have access to everything. It's
Yeah.
He's like, oh, print me out a copy of whatever, and it does.
Mary Shelley's book. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you got to think though, man. He was driving it around and making it do all this shit, and it was like, man, you're gonna wear the battery down on this thing,
Well, I guess they have better batteries in the future,
Clearly,
the future, 7
right.
years from now.
Yeah, seven
No, 5
years
years from now. 5.
Yeah.
Only 5 years from now. Yeah. So anyway, in this past, he meets Victor Frankenstein.
Mm-hmm. Raul Julia is cool. In any movie, he is great.
Yeah, he is. He pretty much steals the show in this film. It's like he's not even he's not the main characters. The main characters are like this guy, Dr. Buchanan, and then the Mary Shelley.
Shelley, yeah.
Who Buchanan meets like because she's sitting at a trial for the nanny who killed
Victor's brother. Right? Yeah,
that's actually in the Frankenstein book.
Yes,
right?
Yes, it is. Yes, they are using actual data from the book.
So in this story, Frankenstein, the book, is a true story, and Mary Shelley's just like the person that writes it down.
Right. Right.
Anyway, he meets Frankenstein. They bond over dinner and stuff like that in a pub, and then he follows him to the woods where he sees the creature for the first time.
Right.
Dr. Buchanan is convinced the monster is the killer, and he tries to convince Dr. Frankenstein to confess and tell the world that he made this creature, but Frankenstein refuses.
Right.
So he then goes to Mary and sleeps with her.
I'm like, I was like, really?
Well, this is based on the idea that like they were into free love.
Yeah.
We find that out in both movies, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
they're all pretty freaky back there.
it just follows the book where the monster then like kills his threatens to kill his fiance,
Right.
actually does kill his fiance,
Yes.
and demands that Frankenstein make a mate for him and stuff like that.
It actually does follow. The movie does actually follow the book in a weird, convoluted way.
Yeah,
Which I appreciated. It is a movie from the '90s. The car
yeah.
looked cool.
Well, so this is where it differs. It like he does run down the battery on the car and he has to recharge it and he
Right.
uses lightning, of course, because it's Frankenstein. So it's like
Yeah.
it's exactly the same thing as Back to the Future, right? He's got this
Right.
time
Right.
machine silver car that's got to go
Right.
back to the future and he has to like harness a lightning bolt to charge it,
Right.
straight out of Back to the Future. I'm like, oh, okay, so you're gonna run cables up to the top of this old building, weather vane, and like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
clock tower, like
Yeah. Shut up. It was a weather vane, not a clock tower. Completely different things, said their lawyers.
Yeah. So after that, he charges it. The castle's destroyed, and then his like laser thing opens up a space time rift, and both him and the Frankenstein monster, and we'll see in a minute, like the bride,
Right.
all get sent to the far future.
Victor too.
Victor too, yeah, yeah.
Right. Yeah. They all go into the future.
Where global cooling, I guess, has happened because the whole world is like an ice.
It's an
planet.
ice age. Yeah, it's an
Yeah.
ice age. Yeah, they show up on an ice age. What in the book they chase the monster to what, Antarctica or whatever?
It's like the Siberian Arctic area.
Yeah. In the middle, frozen wasteland. So
Yeah, these things always end in the frozen waste.
yeah, of course.
This is a spoiler alert. Skip ahead 3 minutes to avoid spoilers. But I will say that it ends with a word with a word. I am unbound. That is the last. So I'm not sure what that was supposed to mean.
I could speculate.
Go ahead and speculate.
At the end, they find the brain of the thinking city where the denouement happens, basically. The monster somehow uploads his consciousness into the thinking city.
That's an interesting take. I didn't consider that.
What they didn't really touch on in the movie, especially when Frankenstein, because he's always asking, who made you, right?
Yeah.
Right. That's like his question. And then he meets the car that
Yep.
starts to talk.
Yep.
In essence, Frankenstein is the first AI.
That's what I was going to say. So he's now become an AI in the web or whatever.
They're in the digital city, he is now part of the thinking city. But because the technology didn't exist then like it does now for us to draw that conclusion.
Yep.
So I think that a lot of it was lost on those poor 8,000 people that went to see that fucking movie when it first opened up, because we just didn't know what the fuck that was.
Right.
The
Right.
technology didn't exist.
Yeah. I mean, 1990 was a while back.
Yeah.
I mean, it was before the World Wide Web, right? So
we were on it was the dawn of the digital age, for us.
Yeah.
I thought I was hot shit when I could make the word boobs run on all the Texas Instruments, computers over and over again.
It's still funny.
It's 12-year-old me, 53-year-old me. Yeah, it's still funny.
All right, so now that we've covered the plot, let's get to the heart of the matter. How do you rank this film?
I give it a solid meh.
Solid meh.
Meh. It was okay. I like time travel movies, and I appreciate that it did, in a weird way, stick to the book. Kind of.
Yeah.
Again.
Well, Raul Julia. I mean.
Yeah. Right. And then Raul Julia. The car was cool, although I do have one. Okay, there's a scene. He's driving this fucking car around,
Yeah.
and what, Germany, France, right?
Austria,
Somewhere
I
around
think. Yeah.
Austria. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's driving this car around, and like people are like, oh my God, like, wouldn't they have burned him as a witch? Like, you would think,
Well,
something
did everybody see the car? I
like
don't
there was a
remember.
bunch of, he like drove
Yeah.
through a village at one point, him and Mary Shelley, because, chicks dig cool cars, right?
This is my carriage. Yeah.
Yeah, check it out, baby.
I think that's a valid criticism. I'd say it's meh also. Generally, I want to find either a forgotten gem or a guilty pleasure or like
Right,
just it's so bad that it's good. And it's not really any of those things.
right.
It's fine. It's like I think there was another movie we watched at some point where I was like, this is what I would put on while I'm doing laundry. Like
Right,
that's the
right,
same kind of movie that this is
right.
like, I could do laundry and have this on, and, kind of be watching it, but kind of not be watching it at the same time,
Right. Yeah.
It's that kind of movie to me.
Although I will say, the prosthetics that they did for the monster, that was pretty good. He was weird and scary looking.
It was
So
not like any other version of Frankenstein's
yeah,
monster we've seen. So
yeah,
that I
yeah, yeah,
appreciate. They put some thought
yeah,
into that.
yeah. They totally did. When he made the bride, like, did you notice her hands?
No.
Did you see everything, everywhere, all at once?
Oh yeah, the hot dog fingers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
like that. Like
Yeah.
she had like a couple of like pinky and thumbs that were like just mismatched, and I was like, ugh, that
I
because she
didn't
was
really
like,
notice that, but
yeah, like
yeah.
you really, I noticed it right away. I could because that scene like from that movie that movie
Yeah.
really stuck with me. They're touching each other's faces, and I was like,
Uh,
stop it, get away. So like anything like that, and now, I guess I'm traumatized from it. I guess PTSD. The monster looked cool for the practical effects for the 1990s film. Pretty good.
like I said, I think it went straight to the dollar cinema, and that's about what it's
Yeah.
what I would not feel ripped off paying $1 for it. I would
Mm.
feel ripped off paying full price for it.
Well, what were movie prices back then? Like $5?
Yeah, they're about $5. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Even
yeah,
today, I wouldn't pay $5 to see this.
I wouldn't pay it. Yeah, I wouldn't have. I'll catch it on like like on TV or some shit. With commercials.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Before Mary Shelley could write her masterwork of terror, Frankenstein, she had to experience it.
I have it in mind to raise the dead. Sorry.
Yes, the skull of the Black Monk. His appearance was said to herald disaster. Gaze into the eyes. Conjure up your deepest, darkest fears. Call that fear to form, to life.
It's the devil. Show them your clothes and hope.
It's alive!
No good. You can't run away from your own fears.
What if we can't get rid of the horror? What if we create more monsters?
It is an age of dreams and nightmares.
It's shown me the torture it has in store for us. Our creature. It will be there waiting in the shadows until it has seen us to our death.
In one night, two legends were born.
We're doing Ken Russell's Gothic, which, if you remember, when you were on the show last year, we did Ken Russell's Devils.
That's right.
So I'll be interested in seeing how you think these two movies compare.
Okay.
Some notable things that happened in 1986. On January 20th, the UK and France announced plans to construct the Channel Tunnel.
I remember that. The Channel, yes. That was a big deal.
Yeah. February 3rd, Pixar was founded by John Lasseter and Steve Jobs.
Soon to be property of Walt Disney. You owe him $1 for saying Pixar. Shit, now I owe him $1. Damn it.
March 13th, Microsoft Corporation held its initial public offering, so they went public.
Oh, wow.
April 26th, the Chernobyl nuclear disaster in Pripyat? I don't know if that's it.
Pripyat. Yeah, you're saying it right. Yeah, Pripyat.
The Ukrainian SSR occurred with a massive radioactive release, leading to large-scale evacuations and long-term environmental and political consequences.
Yay.
May 16th, Paramount Pictures releases Top Gun.
Oh, man. That volleyball scene, dude. Woo-wee.
Yeah. Yep. August 19th, Picasso's painting The Weeping Woman was recovered after being stolen and left in a locker at Spencer Street Station in Melbourne. I guess that's like a bus station or something.
Right.
I don't know. If you're from Melbourne, let us know.
Gotta hide it somewhere, right?
Yeah. October 9th, News Corporation completed its acquisition of Metro Media, launching the Fox Broadcasting Company.
Dun, dun, dun.
And then November 30th, the movie Gothic was released. All right, you ready to hear about how this movie came about?
I'm interested.
Okay, so it fictionalizes the real-life meeting at Villa Diodati in Geneva between Mary Godwin.
So they weren't married yet.
Well,
she wasn't married yet.
I think she secretly eloped with Shelley already, but Shelley was also married already. So I don't know what the status of that is. And she might have even conceived during that time period, but they got legally married the next year.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So she's technically still married Godwin. Percy Shelley was there. Claire Claremont, which is his sister, and Lord Byron. Some historians and journalists have suggested that the events of that week, the same weekend that helped later spawn Shelley's Frankenstein and Polidori's The Vampire, which is essentially the blueprint for Dracula, were influenced by the group's use of opium.
Wow, they were knocking back the laudanum.
In the movie they were,
Yeah. They were knocking it back.
Julian Sands, who plays Shelley in this, said, quote, "I think these portraits are rooted in reality. If people think otherwise, it's because of the later Victorian whitewash of them. These were not simply beautiful romantic poets. They were subversive, anarchic hedonists pursuing a particular line of amorality. The film portrays Lord Byron as demonic and Shelley as on the verge of madness, but the film is an expressionist piece, and that's not an unreasonable expression of their realities," unquote.
Okay.
The thing started with a screenplay by a guy named Stephen Volk. He sent it to Al Clark at Virgin Films, this is in the UK, who said it was, quote, "worlds removed from the scripts that one predominantly gets in this country with their literary ambience and dependence on a sort of linguistic authenticity. I felt it offered a perfect springboard to a director," unquote. So he offered it to Ken Russell, who he said he had some misgivings about it, but when he met him, that he was easy to get along with, and Russell would be the person to make it.
Okay.
He'd been interested in making a movie about that weekend for years already. So this was like something he had been already wanting to do.
So he had an idea what he wanted to do already.
Yep. And he calls it, and this is up to, this might surprise people, but he calls it, quote, "a sort of black comedy. Some of the others have been slightly more serious. This has deliberate comic overtones, sort of satire, unquote.
Really?
He considers this a comedy.
Okay.
Which probably tells you a little something about Ken Russell.
Yeah, he has a weird sense of humor.
He said, quote, I felt pretty positive about the story when it was sent to me. It was extremely visual, which attracted me. And the use of laudanum gave me a springboard for my ideas, unquote.
Okay.
He said, I made the film because I was offered a script. Everything's in there in the film. Their main characters are responsible for publicizing the Gothic experience. It's a watershed. From that meeting, everything seemed to go against them, unquote.
Also, the check cleared.
Yeah. So they announced that the film was going to be made in December of 85, a co-production between Atlantic Entertainment in the US and Virgin in the UK. And it had a budget of roughly £2 million. Cast is Julian Sands as Percy Shelley, who I think they call him Shiloh in this because
Yeah.
I think the reason they do that is to keep, I don't know if Byron actually called him that in real life, probably did, but I think the reason they do that is because if they called him Shelley, then you get confused between Mary
Right.
Shelley and
Yeah. Right.
so, and then Natasha Richardson plays Mary Shelley, Miriam Sear as Claire Claremont, Timothy Spall as Dr. John William Podori, and Gabriel Byrne as Lord Byron.
Mm-hmm.
So Julian Sands, who was just off of A Room with a View, which was one of those Merchant in Ivory, like lavish, like Victorian dramas, you know, like Downton Abbey sort of shit.
Right, right.
He contrasted Ivory, who directed that, with Ken Russell, and said if James Ivory had done a film about Shelley, it would have been more lyrical and soothing piece of work, whereas Ken's treatment is more symphonic and mesmerizing. With Ivory, you're on a carousel, but with Ken Russell, you're on a roller coaster. And Ivory's like an Indian miniaturist, and Ken Russell is a graffiti artist. Natasha Richardson said that it took a huge toll on her, that like got to the point where she just couldn't stop crying even in between takes. She was just like nonstop.
Oh, wow.
Like, so the amount of stuff they went through to make this. Music wise, told you I'd bring up music this time.
Okay.
So this was done by Thomas Dolby. He did the score.
I did notice that. Yeah, I did notice that.
Yeah. Science.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, just wanted to throw that out there. The movie poster. Got to talk about that for a second. So it is based on Henry Fuseli's painting The Nightmare, which is like this half naked lady like lying on bed, and there's like a monster crouched on her chest. I'm sure everybody's familiar with it.
It's like that's the standard issue sleep paralysis demon.
Yeah,
picture.
It's very famous. Super famous. Super famous. I guarantee you everybody listening to this has seen it at some point. Anyway, they used that for the poster, except they just like recreated it with Natasha Richardson. But it had controversy. So film critic Derek Malcolm had said this at the time, quote, "The poster has a very naughty looking goblin perching on the elegant chest of Natasha Richardson, and Virgin Films have been told that it is not acceptable. So they've airbrushed the goblin out, leaving Natasha looking more relaxed but a little uncertain as to what is happening to her. All this seems rather silly, since it is a pretty exact pastiche of a well-known Fuseli painting that's been perverting visitors to the Tate," that's a art museum in London, "for some years."
Yeah.
You gotta love, there's always some local council who's like, oh,
Oh, no.
This is a painting that's been around for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
It hangs in an art gallery, but as soon as we put it on a horror movie poster or whatever.
Right. No. Well, during the 80s, there was the big satanic panic. So everybody was kind of on edge from all that. So that I can imagine, parental groups and religious organizations all being, extra on high alert. Watch out for the devil. He's everywhere.
This premiered at BFI London Film Festival on the 30th of November 1986 and in U.S. theaters on the 10th of April 1987. Remember last time I talked about Frankenstein Unbound made $330-some thousand. This one had an opening weekend of $32,000.
Oh my.
Not 330,000 like the other one,
Yeah.
30,000. So this one literally 8,000 people saw, probably.
Oh man.
Later, it had got a worldwide gross of about 916,000. So not quite hitting a million, but, considering it cost £2 million to make, which is more
Which
than
is,
$2 million,
yeah. A little over $2 million.
that means it certainly didn't make its money back. But
Yeah.
it eventually did because it became a cult classic on video, like VHS rental.
Oh, okay.
Vestron was the distributor on home video, and they had so much success with it on video that they offered Ken Russell a 3-picture deal based on the video sales of this.
Really? Straight to video, Ken.
Yep. Ken had a second wind of his career after this.
Oh, well, good for him.
Yep. Vincent Canby of the New York Times said, quote, "It isn't always coherent, but it's as ghoulishly funny and frenzied as a carnival ride through the Marquis de Sade's tunnel of love." Desson Howe of the Washington Post noted that, quote, "Beyond the carnalia, Gothic happens to be strikingly shot. The special effects inspired, albeit gruesome. Although he slops his signature blood and cleavage across the screen, Russell makes it slick with dynamic cutting, vivid lighting, and framing. Who knows, you might spot a little humor in this hyperbolic lunacy. On the other hand, after a cinematic orgy like this, you might long for 15 minutes with an evangelist," unquote. Dennis Schwartz of the Ozus World Movie Reviews give it a C+, saying, "As far as I'm concerned, thank you, but no thank you. I'll take my Byron and Shelley straight." From the A to Z of horror films, dismissed it as a relentlessly hysterical barrage of images in its director's most deplorable manner, laughable when it isn't sickening. But the greatest review for this is Harlan Ellison. He said, and this is I'm going to read his entire review here. It's only about a paragraph. "Gothic is loopy and fatally flawed and an aberration, yet I treasure this film. So may you, if you, as am I, are out of your head. You will cleave to this tortured bit of cinematic epilepsy because it is alive. It is yet another crime of passion committed by Ken Russell, and his sort of berserk creativity has fallen on such hard times in this age of Reagan and yuppie sensibility that simply to be exposed to the ravings of an inspired madman is cathartic. I came away from Gothic with my soul on fire. The final assertion of critical judgment on Gothic is not whether or not it is good or whether one likes it or not. The undeniable truth of Gothic, as in all the work of Ken Russell, an artist who's either so mad or so foolhardy as not to care if he wins or loses, is that it is palpably alive. It is riot and ruin and pandemonium, but it will have you by the nerve ends," unquote. Gothic got 3 awards at the International Fantasy Film Awards. Gabriel Byrne took Best Actor. The film won Best Special Effects. And then I have an interesting footnote to all this, which is in 1822, Percy Shelley died in a boating accident.
That's right.
We kind of see a little bit of that in the film.
Yes.
When the weather unexpectedly turned on him. In 2023, just a couple of years ago, Julian Sands tragically was lost when he was hiking and the weather unexpectedly turned. Both of their bodies were recovered in advanced decomposition sometime later. Percy was mostly cremated, although Mary Shelley kept his heart in a box in her desk, which they discovered a year after she died in 1851 of a brain tumor. Natasha Richardson, who plays Mary Shelley, died of a hematoma in her brain in 2009. Weird parallel there.
That is weird. That is weird.
Yeah.
Just a minute, folks. Yes, that's all it takes to visit our refreshment counter in the lobby.
What I would do is the charcuterie board thing, where you get the fancy cheese and the crackers and grapes and wine, because this whole film is like super decadent, and that's the stuff like they have that shit sitting out during like their party.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah.
It's like decadent party food, of the really rich. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I think that's what there were some things that bothered me about this film. You know,
Okay.
like I now during that time, my girl and I were discussing that when that was all taking place, there was like a volcano or something like that that had exploded that went off,
Yeah.
and like the weather was real freaky.
Yeah, this was known as the year without a summer.
That's right. Yeah.
There was like a volcano that went off somewhere in like South Asia Pacific area,
Yeah.
but like it caused ash to cover the whole world, and like
Right.
crops were failing, and there was pestilence, and it was very
People were dying.
apocalyptic. Yeah.
Yeah. No, like so.
And they're vacationing here, and there's nonstop rain and thunderstorms, so they have to be inside. Yeah.
They actually kind of covered that in the beginning of the movie, as Mary Shelley, Shiloh, and his sister are all on a boat coming across the lake, you know, and it's sunny out, and they're all like, "Yay, we're having a good time, yay!" And then they get up on the like close to the house, blam! It starts storming,
Yeah.
like almost immediately, and yeah, so yeah, they're stuck inside this.
I think that in the real life version, they started telling ghost stories in like June, like around mid-June, June 16th or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then it wasn't until a month later, like July 16th, that they're like, let's write our own ghost stories. So
Right.
they were stuck inside for a long ass time.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. That's a lot allowed them to be pounding down. I can imagine what kind of crazy ideas they came up with. They kind of cover all that. Well, not all of it, I would imagine, but they certainly touch on a bunch of that in the movie.
The movie actually starts with some like the tourists, like, oh, Lord Byron's
Yeah,
over there,
yeah,
and all
yeah.
that. But then, yeah, eventually you get Claire Claremont, Mary Godwin, Shiloh, who's Percy Shelley, Lord Byron, and Lord Byron's physician friend, Dr. John Polidori, and they're
friend,
quote unquote, yeah. And so
that guy was great. He made the movie for me.
Oh,
that guy
awesome.
was great. Yeah,
yeah.
He made the movie for me.
Claire kicks things off with like a game of hide and seek. Like this starts slow, but by 7 minutes in, we have our first random goat. So I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yeah. The weird doctor shows up and there's a goat there. Just like, hey, what's up? Check out my goat.
By 9 minutes in, because I was watching the
timer. Okay.
By 9 minutes in, so we're not even 10 minutes in, they're already doing drugs.
Yeah.
Like the opiates start to flow.
Yeah. Yeah. They start getting high.
So then they start talking about sleepwalking and nightmares, and then Lord Byron pulls out Phantasmagoria, which is a real book, by the way.
Yes.
Of horror stories from France, and I think he bought it in Geneva, he said.
Yeah, yeah.
So they start reading excerpts, and eventually they take it like a step further. They're like, let's have a seance. Let's have a seance.
Yeah,
and I got this skull, which is a real skull. We're just going to do it.
The black monk skull. Yeah. Over the black monk of whatever, blah, blah, blah.
15 minutes in, we have our first gratuitous snake show up.
Yeah.
Snakes are not native to this area, so...
No. It was a big boa constrictor hanging out over armor for some weird reason. No, that was during the hide and seek thing, wasn't it?
It makes multiple appearances,
Yeah, yeah.
But Claire, has a seizure during the actual seance.
Right. And... Or possessed by a devil.
Yeah, or possessed. We're not sure. And apparently she has a history of this, according to Mary, like her horrors when she was young, like her bed shaking and she was screaming and stuff like that. So Polidori takes her upstairs to rest. And then it just gets crazier and crazier. Like Mary sees an apparition outside the window. Shelley thinks that it's the banging of the barn door, so he goes out in the rain to go shut that and runs into a weird creature out there.
And while all this is going on, they're like banging too.
They're banging. And in
fact, they're all like let's not forget that. Like they drive home the whole decadent rich aristocracy type thing.
Yeah, in fact, Byron gets Claire pregnant, and then Mary confronts him in the billiards room and is like, "What is your intention here?" And he's like,
whatever,
she can abort it, or he does the honors later on. Well,
Yeah, I mean, well, hey, it gets handled. Let's just put it that way.
it gets, well, I don't know if hands were involved so much as mouths were involved. I can't describe what happens there without this getting banned on my platforms.
Right? Yeah.
We'll
just kind of gloss over it. It's a little weird.
It just goes crazy from there. There's like leeches involved and
Yeah.
self-mutilation and
Like,
the
doctor is clearly a homosexual,
but repressed about it.
So like crazy repressed about it because I guess what was it, like he was a Jesuit, like
something. He was afraid he would be damned for it.
Yeah, because God hates gays apparently. Well,
and he uses the infamous quote, and I'm not sure what this originally came from, but "Whom the gods destroy, they first drive mad" or something.
Yeah.
I see that in pop culture all the time. I don't know if it comes from like Socrates or something. It's pretty old.
We can Google it later.
Yeah. And then he also tries to kill himself with cyanide, but was stopped by Byron.
Self mutilation, like he feels real bad about being gay, which I felt bad for him.
Yeah, and there's some body horror stuff in this too that's not involved him. Like there's the whole Shelley keeps seeing eyeball breasts, and we eventually actually do see eyeball
and then
breasts.
we see them. She's like, my eyes are down here. He's like, what?
I gotta admit that part traumatized me a little bit.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan. I was like, okay, that's not cool, man. That's not cool, man.
But eventually we get to the scene where they like reenact Fuseli's nightmare, and we have our first gratuitous dwarf. I knew there was going to be a dwarf in this thing somewhere sooner or later, because there always is in these weird, trippy, like LSD trip movies,
Yeah.
And sure enough, there was a dwarf standing on her chest.
Mm-hmm.
Never explained.
No, just cause.
She tries to flee the house and runs through the glass door to like a greenhouse or something.
Like a solarium greenhouse type thing.
Percy Shelley Shiloh thinks that they summon some presence that's feeding off their fear.
Mm-hmm.
Polidori, like at some point, is he's in the barn and he sees like some creature ride off on one of the horses.
Right, yeah. But there is no creature, but there is, and for me, it was kind of, the story was a little convoluted. I had trouble trying to keep up with what was happening because it jumped around and
it doesn't give you easy answers. Like they try to solve things by having another seance. That doesn't work. Eventually Mary crushes the skull, and I think that breaks the curse, whatever. But then maybe not, because then they have to go to the basement and get all covered in mud.
Yeah, let's roll around in the mud,
And then they all have sex again, and eventually they have visions. She has visions of her child dying, I think.
Right.
Eventually they wake up the next day and everything's back to normal.
Or was it like the child, like she had already had one?
Yeah, I guess she had a child.
Yeah, and it died.
It in real life, it doesn't die for a few more years. He doesn't die. His name's William, and he didn't die until like 2 or 3 years after this. But she has visions of the future of him.
Okay. So, that makes sense. Okay.
But we don't really see child imagery nearly as much as we see baby imagery, so I'm not really sure what that's all about.
Yeah.
Talking about the plot is kind of hard because it doesn't really have much of a plot.
No. Except rich white people banging and doing drugs. I kind of hate rich white people. Aristocracy, right. I'm like, so them just rolling around and just being pigs, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes me mad, I guess would be the word I would use. I'm like, so I found myself not really caring that these people were doing crazy shit to each other because, rich white people,
Right.
They're going to do whatever they're going to do. But image-wise, like, I really liked Devils. I really did like that one. And I didn't actually put it together until you told me that Ken Russell directed this one. Now that I know that, I'm like, okay, that a lot of that makes sense now with the weird camera angles and the imagery and the goat showing up for no reason, literally.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I think you see it one more time in the movie.
There's a lot of animals. There's goats, snakes, leeches,
Yeah, yeah,
rats.
yeah. Wild movie.
Yeah, I like the acid trippiness of it. I might have been on acid when I saw this movie the first time. It's
No,
totally possible.
I probably would have enjoyed it more had I been, perhaps, maybe. Yeah.
At the very least, I was drunk. Like, you
Mhm.
know, I like it because it's like, it's not about anything particular. It's like, this is
Right.
the weekend that they wrote these things.
Yeah, yeah,
It's kind of like a horror movie without a horror. Like, it's all about them being
exactly.
scared of shit that isn't there or
Right.
might be there. But like
Because
one time
they're,
it's just like a tree that got struck by lightning and they're like all freaking out about it because they're all fucked up, you know?
yeah,
And so
they're all on
and
drugs.
I
They're
have been
like,
at parties where that has been the case, where everybody's been fucked up and freaking about like stupid shit that like if you
yeah,
were sober, nobody would be freaking out
no
about.
one would
But
gonna be
you
like,
know,
yeah.
so I could relate to that part of it. You know, it's like,
Mhm.
okay, I know what this is. You know, I've been at one of these things before, you know,
Right, right.
particularly when I was like in my 20s and teens. Yeah. Like
Sure.
watching it nowadays, I'm just like, okay, I can see why this meant way more to me when I was 16 than it does now, you know?
Well, okay, for the time period that this movie takes place in, the characters would probably see stuff like that, or take more meaning to these portents or whatever, because they're not as sophisticated as we are in certain ways. You know what I mean?
It's more like the halfway point between the Middle Ages and now, you know?
Right, right. Science is a thing, but like
Witches still exist, you know? It's like,
witches still, we're burning witches but science, it's
yeah,
like, so yeah, and not to mention, you've been pounding laudanum and opium for, God knows how long,
a lot. They drink a
yeah,
lot of that
yeah, they drink a
shit.
lot of it, so, you're probably gonna put more stuff into weird things than you normally would,
Yeah.
So I get that, and the actors did a pretty good job portraying that. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people who watch a movie, they're like, "Well, they're just fucking fucked up," and blah blah blah. And I'm like, no, you have to, you the viewer of the movie, actually have to kind of take yourself out of it for a second and realize the time, the period, what's happening, and compare it to the way things are now.
Yeah.
We have an understanding of science. We have an understanding of what long-term opiates do to people. I
Yeah.
mean, so
So I think
yeah,
it's highly fictionalized, but it was whatever happened that weekend was probably pretty profound because like
yeah, sure,
we did get the modern vampire story out of it.
yeah,
Bram Stoker lifts a lot of stuff straight from Paul Adori's Vampire.
well, sure, yeah, yeah,
And then also Frankenstein came out of this
yeah.
weekend.
Two things that exist today. Thanks, Loudnum.
Yeah. I don't know if they were doing as much drugs as this movie implies. Like they're just like really creative people, but you know, whatever. Anyway, ultimately, what is your final verdict on this?
I'm gonna have to go another solid meh.
Another solid meh.
Meh. If you're into Frankenstein, if you like that story, it would be cool to see how it was conceived, or an interpretation of how it might have been conceived. But honestly, I don't think it's probably too far off base. Lord Byron was pretty, a noted,
Yeah.
pretty degenerate person, probably somebody I'd hang out with,
Cool.
So I could, if you're rich and you got a lot of money and, you're bored, rich people with a lot of money get up to all kinds of weird stuff. So
Cool. All right. So my verdict is different. This is a thumbs up for me because this
yeah.
is weird. There's nothing else like it. There's not a lot like it out there.
No, I'll agree with you on that. I'll agree with you on that.
This is a pretty unique cinema experience. Now, it's definitely not for everyone. I think that this is probably a movie best done with other substances, you know?
Right.
It's one that I watched about 40 years ago almost. Probably won't watch this movie again for, ever. But if I do, it's going to be another 30 years or something, if I'm still around,
Right.
I think it is worth seeing for people who are into arty shit and like want something that's, it doesn't spoon feed you a plot. Like, you gotta
it
like
doesn't.
figure out what's going on you gotta make it up yourself. It's
Right.
like,
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's up for interpretation. What's actually happening.
Yeah. All right. We'll wrap this up. But before I do that, I want to say, you got anything going on you want to plug? I don't know what's going on with your stuff these days.
Well, I'm actually winding down.
Okay.
Gonna set the puppet down for a little bit and, just kind of work on some projects, that I've been thinking about doing. And, I can't really do it while all this is.
Well, you'll let us know what they are when they're ready.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
And thank you for inviting me on to the show again. I really appreciate it. I love movies. I like all kinds of stuff like that. So, anytime you want to have me back on again, feel free to call.
So with that, we're going to wrap up this episode and say, if you liked us, give us a good star rating or review or whatever on whatever platform you download us from.
Like, share, and follow, subscribe.
And all of those things.
All the sell your soul. I mean, what?
Yeah.
Nothing. What? Go.
No,
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. You can contact us at GC8 podcast. That's letter G, letter C, number 8 podcast at gmail.com. If you want to like write in and tell us how Jason and I are basically fucked, how this is like the greatest Frankenstein ever.
I challenge you.
But if you believe that, write in and tell us that. I'm Eric.
I'm Jasone Staley.
And signing off.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank you.
While you were on drugs.